Lost your volume. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Cambridge Hot Club. I'm your host, Bill Goldberg. My posse next to me, Cliff and Mara, and some of the regulars. Tonight, we're going to celebrate Kid Jordan's family. Great musician, Mr. Kid Jordan. And I see Rachel's here, and so is Stephanie. So thank you for joining us tonight. We started with his Kid's sole recording with the World Saxophone Quartet. Hamiet Blewett, James Carter, David Murray, and of course, Kid Jordan. And that was a piece that David wrote back in 2008 for Barack Obama. So last night was reminiscent of a better time. Rachel and Stephanie, thank you for joining us. Welcome. Your bike's so muted. Let's see.
Can you hear me? I'm tapping to unmute myself.
Okay. Thank you for joining us.
I'm trying to unmute. Okay, there you go. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
There you are. Okay.
Here we go. I'm gonna mute it. Here we go. Finally got it all together.
Yep. Miracles of modern technology.
Right. Yeah.
You got people.
That's it.
In many states, a few of us in Massachusetts. Thank you both for joining us. And I guess the thing I think about a lot when I think about your dad and his children is I'm just trying to imagine what your dinners are like. All you people.
Well, is that a real question?
It's rhetorical. It's surreal.
Boy.
But you don't have to answer it. You could also
We had great dinners. I mean, we're from New Orleans, so food is everything. That's the first thing. So food and talking around the table was how we learned about each other. And I guess when I really think about it, it was a great part of how we got to know our dad, just as a person. And, and then also, keeping up with all the musical activities that he was involved with. discuss that sort of thing around the kitchen table
Mhm.
a lot.
Right.
Mhm.
And we always ate dinner together at the same time, basically. So it was like a
Yeah, we
crazy
did.
traditional family. We ate dinner around like 5:30, maybe 5 o'clock, 5:30. And we would come in from inside because they were like, okay, it's dinner time. So whatever you were doing would stop and we would come in for dinner time and everybody was at the dinner table
Mhm.
every night.
Every night.
Every night.
Every
I mean,
night, just
when we were
about.
growing up. Yeah, every night just about. And then uh, we uh, we had lively discussions. I mean, the boys always ate too much, and you had to hurry up and for us, we had to hurry up and get something because then they were always going for seconds, because 4 boys and 3 girls. So my brothers were older and they were bigger, and so they would eat a lot. And my mama could cook, so it was always that, and we had
Lots of food.
lots of food, but lots of discussions. You ain't lying. We not. I mean, not that Stephanie's on. I'm like, yeah, it's true. We talked about everything at the dinner table. We really did. What was happening, what was going on, what we had to do, and like what we were gonna do as soon as we finished from the table, right, Steph?
And I guess from your
Yeah, you
earliest
always had
memories,
something to do.
Yeah,
music was everywhere in the Jordan house.
always,
Mhm.
always.
Well, it was everywhere, but it was controlled everywhere. You know, a lot of instrumentalists, everyone would, sort of grab a room and go in a room, maybe in practice. My dad, would sit around in different chairs and just, he was always tinkering and fooling around with horns in some way or the other, and so yeah, it was everywhere. It was
Subtle.
constant.
It was subtle. It wasn't like that. I mean,
Wasn't really a
because
racket, but it was everywhere. And then there were times when things were quiet, and then there were times when we played a lot of recordings in the house
yeah,
too.
definitely.
Listening to recordings was a big part of our upbringing as well, and not just jazz recordings, all sorts of recordings. Just you name it. We listened to a lot of great recordings as well.
Yeah, because my
Hmm
dad, my dad loved
We,
classical
you could
music.
say we had a music, a musically infused upbringing on so many different levels, either from experiencing live performances
Mm.
to recordings and practicing music, talking about music, and the arts in general, because it wasn't just music. The arts, the visual arts, the dance. We participated as a family just in the arts in general. And we knew a lot of people too who were involved in various disciplines as well.
But like people don't realize that my dad also studied classical music with Fred Hemke, who was the premier saxophone teacher for classical music, up in Northwestern. And he and I used to listen to Charles I. He was the one who got me hooked on Charles Ives as a young person. And when I went to college, at Peabody, they were like, I don't really like Mozart. They were like, what do you mean you don't like Mozart? I said, shoot, I learned classical music from Charles Ives and Shostakovich and all of the 20 at that time 20th 21st century composers. And so I was listening to um uh everything that was modern, and I had to go to school in order to learn more Mozart than anything. I mean, of course, I love all Brahms.
I think
He
that
and I
got lost.
used to,
Is your
oh,
connection good? Your
I think
connection is a little
they hated
strange.
when
Yeah, we had that problem last night too.
Is it lost?
Oh, you've been good for
Oh wow.
30 seconds ago, but you're on now. And did your mom play a lot when you were
Okay.
what
No, no, but
did she have time? Did she
oh yeah.
your mom is a classical
Oh yeah, my mom played a lot. My mom used to play with me. Yeah, yeah, but she has great ear, like I told you. So she would be playing different things. But my mother played with me. But her sister, my aunt Wileen, was my accompanist for most of my life. And even when I was in college, learning, like she played Brahms concerto with me, and like different sonatas with me. So she was my accompanist growing up. And then when I would have to learn something else, she would play with me. So they grew up in a house, like I told you, of musicians as well.
and her husband was Alvin Batiste.
Well, no, not her
No.
husband. No, it's a whole nother aunt. But
Okay.
my aunt Edith was
Okay.
She said like I told you, there's 16 of them. But my aunt Wileen studied at Xavier University, and she was a classical pianist, and she was my mama's other sister who could really play. Given a good time, she should have gone to a big school, but she was born at a different time, so didn't happen.
Let's share with how old is your mom now? 90?
I'm gonna be 90. Yeah. 90 years old soon.
Mhm.
I just wish we could have gotten Dad to 90.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
we
Bittersweet.
tried. We tried. We tried. We did everything we could. And he said we did everything we could, and that he had no regrets, and that he had lived the best life that he could possibly have lived. That's all he said. He said there ain't nothing that he said every time there's nothing that he didn't do in life that he didn't do. So he said he was happy with everything that had happened to him. In spite of, like I said, he lost his parents at a young age, but in terms of doing things and being a part of music in the way that he wanted to be, he had no regrets, none.
If anyone has questions from the audience, please do. We could go to some music now. Stephanie, what would you like to hear? Or Justin, what do you want to hear?
What do I want to hear?
You want to play something from your dad's last album? Or I just actually earlier we played before when we were setting up.
It doesn't really matter.
It's okay.
Anything. It doesn't. I don't have any. Can play whatever.
Okay. I'll play Joey. I like that.
Oh my goodness.
That's you.
Is Joey okay?
All right.
It's short, so.
Joey, 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 Joe. You've been too long in one place, and it's time to go, time to go. Joey, 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 travel on. You've been too long in one town, and the harvest time has come and gone. That's what the wind sings to him when the bunk he's bunking in gets to feeling too soft and cozy. When the grub she's cooking him gets to tasting too good. When he's had all he wants of the ladies in the neighborhood, he sings Joey, 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 Joe. You've been too long in one place, and it's time to go, time Joey, travel on. You've been too long in one town, and the harvest time has come and gone. That's what the wind sings to him with the bunk he's bunking in. Gets to feeling too soft and cozy when the grub she's cooking him gets to tasting too good. When he's had all he wants of the ladies in the neighborhood, he sings Joey, 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 travel on.
Bill may ask, hello. Hello, everybody. You sound great there. I didn't know that song until I heard that record. Bass player Bill was David Pulfus. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah. Yes.
Mhm.
David Pulfus has played with a lot of people. Can you hear me?
I hear you. Hear everyone.
Yeah, David Pulfus has played with a lot of you, still playing with us to this day. David Pulfus. That's Daryl Levine on piano. And who was it on drums? Stephanie.
Troy Davis.
Troy Davis, right. Mhm.
Yeah, Troy. It was Troy.
Mhm.
It's Troy. That's right. So that's the one of my first on my label, so to speak. I recorded my brother and my sister. Yeah.
But nobody else would record me, so I just go with what I had.
Yeah.
That's
There
hard
you
to
go.
believe.
Huh?
I said that's hard to believe that no one else would record
Well,
you.
I mean, it's not hard to believe. I mean, jazz is a strange market. You know, at that time when I recorded that, they were still recording jazz vocalists, and you still had jazz labels like CBS was still around, Warner Brothers, Verve on this side still had a label. But you know, I guess they knew that they were going to phase out the jazz divisions anyway. So I mean, when people start getting rid of stuff, they don't just do it overnight. They it was a you know, I guess they knew that in their minds, you know, jazz almost, I guess, became like a liability. I worked in jazz radio before I started singing, and I used to promote records. I mean, when and I say records, I mean literal records, CDs, and then once the streaming, so the technology was driving the record companies even before the general population got hip to streaming. So the record companies knew that they were going to just phase out jazz, and the real thing, their money makers say so was going to be the rap. Even R&B doesn't really get the kind of promotion that it used to get when we were kids coming up, right? So the streaming platforms just took over with rap, and jazz was just being phased out. So, of course, everything is, what's old is new again. My motto is you just have to outlast things. So, you know, and so there's this line between being a creative artist, which my dad would always say, listen, don't do this because you want to be rich
Famous.
or because you want to be a star?
Yep.
Because those two things don't really factor in. If you're going to do it because you actually want to and because you really, love the music. Now, when you say that to a young person, that's kind of hard to digest for a moment. But I remember when he first told me that, and then he bought me my first microphone. So he wanted me to do, what I was doing, but he certainly wanted me to understand that there was no, especially, in the jazz um, category, there was no straight shot to anything. What are you shooting for? The stars? You're shooting for money? Those two things may not come. So, I went to college and majored in communications. So I guess I'm still communicating on
I know,
some
but
level.
I think about like, like Steph with with
But
Shirley Horn, all the conversations that Shirley Horn had, and when Shirley Horn told me, that whole period where she was just in Washington playing, and that's when you were checking her out, and then all of a sudden they rediscovered Shirley Horn, and
yeah, well,
it was like, wow,
yeah,
she was,
that's a great example. Somebody like Shirley Horn, who, well, Shirley hit really big when she was really young. Quincy Jones produced like her first record. And then she went in, like she did one or two records as a young piano player singer. And then she went into total obscurity.
right,
Say the
like
word.
40 years.
Yeah,
Hmm.
for, so many years. I mean, so, and then, she did some recordings in between because, what is his name? Pierre.
Yeah, with the Shed, right? Wasn't it called the Shed? Because they did a bunch of
Yeah,
recordings.
that can't call Pierre's last name right now. Dad knew him well too, because I think Dad did some sessions in that studio in the middle of the woods in a house somewhere in
Yeah,
Maryland.
they call it the
I can't
Shed.
remember where that is, but I remember going there once. But anyway, so they recorded Shirley a lot, but then those records weren't really promoted. But now all of that wonderful music can be reissued, and now it can stream and so on and so forth. So no, big labels have no interest in what I do, as far as I know. And so, what you gonna do? Stop recording, stop singing because a major label or even a smaller label is not interested. Everything that we do on our own. And my dad did a lot of recordings that Dad has a number. Dad's discography is really big, but he just would record with different labels and just
Right.
and perform. So we
Right. He did a
took
lot of
took
live recordings.
yeah, and recordings still never capture uh that avant-garde jazz. To have experienced that, anybody who missed it, I hate to tell you, you missed it.
Mhm. Yeah.
those live those live sessions with the avant-garde creative artists are just beyond belief. Of course, Joe Futterman is still very much alive, and Joe is one of the baddest piano players I've ever heard in my life. I mean, he's just amazing, amazing.
And they were so in tune with each other.
Oh my God.
I
Absolutely.
mean, just incredible.
I think we were talking about that just yesterday, Rachel and I. So,
Yeah, because
I
like I was,
was,
mhm.
we were talking about, you know, people have a misunderstanding about avant garde musicians. They really don't get it But some people do, but one of the things that there is to get about it is my dad didn't want to play with everybody, but he played with Joe Futterman a lot and Alvin Fielder a lot because they really understood each other as musicians. Like they could anticipate things. And of course, that great drummer,
Hamid Drake.
Hamid Drake.
Hamid Drake.
Hamid Drake. He loved Hamid. And of course,
A.
he
Geronimo
played,
too. A. Geronimo too. A. Geronimo.
You played, I think you opened with something about the World Saxophone Quartet.
Mm-hmm.
And he loved, those guys, Julius Hemphill and David Murray, all of them. But he also did some great stuff with Mr. Fred
Anderson.
Fred Anderson.
That's what I first.
Fred Anderson,
Yeah.
from Chicago, out of Chicago.
2 days in April.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 2 days in April. Yeah.
He, Fred was, Mr. Fred was like, my daddy just loved him. He really loved performing with him. That was some great music. Fred Anderson's hell of a player, And even though, I sing, pretty standard, in my mind and in my head, I don't think I could do some of the things that I do vocally had I not been exposed to the avant-garde arts, And I never forget, I did a workshop with Betty Carter. And you talked about Troy Davis being on that record. I'll never forget, years ago, I went to Blues Alley to hear Betty Carter, and Troy Davis was touring with Betty at the time. He was on drums. And boy, when she came out and she just started singing, everything was complete improv, and Troy was just hammering away on those drums. It was just something to experience. I thought to myself, okay, well, I'll never be able to do that. But actually I can. But what she told me then, that was over 30 years ago. She told me, that's about 30 years, not over, about 30 years. She told me, she said, Stephanie, you got the kind of voice that the record companies are like. Now, I don't know if that was a compliment.
Because you're singing too.
Or what. But then she also told me, we were standing backstage at the Jazz and Heritage Festival, listening to another great drummer, the one with the all the young cats played with him,
Art Blakey.
Art Blakey. That's right. We were backstage, and Art was on, and we were listening to him, and she looked at me, and we, because when you're around a big time singer, and you're just trying to learn. I didn't say too much, but I just said hello, and we standing there together, and then she looked over to me. She said, listen, let me tell you something. Jazz singing is on the job training. The more you do it, the better you'll get. And that's all she said, and I love Betty, and it took me, and she was right. It took me many years to just kind of grow up in vocalizing, to be able to come out and do improv, or because I didn't force trying to scat sing or do improvisational style singing. I didn't force that because I knew that it was something that I couldn't force. But maybe in my upcoming recordings, I'll do some different things. As a matter of fact, I know I will. I love listening to Joey because I know where I was at when I was singing that. And I like that recording, I don't sing as high as that anymore, but I still do Joey. But I do it a little bit different. And now I'm hoping that I can, expand on that and just, grow a little bit more as a vocalist and do some different types of things, Sometimes I'm torn between this commercial jazz world and the real creative arts. It's interesting. But I know my dad would just tell me, just do what you do. Be authentic.
Right, but
That's
you
what he was
realize
about.
that stuff. I mean, but there's some of the stuff that we've recently been doing, where we playing Uncle Alvin's music and we do dad's music and we combine the two. Like when we do Music Came with Gory Island. I mean, that's where the
Yeah,
intersection of like something
it's
like Abby Lincoln, where you just totally improvise and we just doing whatever it is that we do. And when we combine those two when we fuse some of those two together, I mean, we
oh
can't tell
yeah.
what tune is coming out, what's going on. Is it can get into that creative space. I mean, it's more
Right.
like Abby Lincoln would, with
Yeah, well,
that whole
Abby, that's a
experimentation.
Abby, when I got introduced to Abby's music, that was another great moment in my life. The two singers who really influenced a lot of my growth would be Shirley Horn and Abby Lincoln in terms of just growing as a vocalist. Those two vocalists are just two of my just all time favorites.
I
You
have
know,
queued up your version of Throw It Away. I also have Shirley's doing Here's to Life. Or do we want to hear one of your dad's concerts? It's part of the tribute to Alan Fiedler. And then we'll also hear Joel Futterman. So do you want to hear your dad's music or?
yeah.
Would you?
Yeah, I mean, you want to do the outfielder piece?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to hear that.
This is from the Vision Fest. Your dad. Oh, actually, we want to get with Futterman. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Blowing it out.
Yeah, well, you know what's so funny? That clip of him. You
Something
can
else.
tell that he's in mourning
Hmm.
because you can tell that he's in mourning. I mean, he's playing his total blues, like total blues, and then
Hmm.
the bass and William Parker is bong ding 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 playing his drum, and then the drummer is like just surrounding him with all of this mountain of sound, outrage. So I'm hearing like the three dimensions that they spinning in, you know. So it's way
Well, I
up.
definitely could hear the
They
John
swirling.
Coltrane influence.
Oh
Bum,
yeah.
bum, bum, da, dee, dee. Oh, there, oh, the way. You know, I could definitely
Well, I
hear.
know, but then Dad's lick is body. That's his stamp. That's his little lick.
What I
That's the
liked
one that
about it
I
was it
sent
didn't
to
take
you.
them long to. They didn't ease into it. They eased into it, but then they got to the fire real quick.
Right. But it was
Yeah,
subtle
they
though. I
was they
mean,
got
it's
the,
like one of the more, yeah, it's just melodious, and he's just easing body, 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 So it's like, it's so funny when you hear it. I mean, you go through a whole analysis, of what they're doing, and
who
what
was
they're
on
doing
drums.
is just
That was
that
Hamid.
was
Who was
Hamid
that
Drake,
on
I
drums?
believe.
Who was on drums on that recording? Hello.
Yeah, it's Hamid on drums. William Park.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That
yeah, that's
was like
bad. That's bad.
that was
That I mean,
serious.
they just eased it. He was just surrounding them with a whole bunch of sound, huh? While they playing the blues. He's just like firing off. That's that's the kind of stuff that they would do, be in the same space and be firing off different things. So, you know,
Yeah,
that's
that was
that's
lovely. I could listen to that all night. That's
yeah.
like a lullaby for us.
I know, right?
They serious.
It's
I
true.
miss that. You know, I'm so grateful for everything that I ever witnessed musically with Dad. And you know, it's we had him for it seemed like just like a lifetime.
We did.
And now it's sort of like, okay. But you just want more. I wish we could have
Right.
more. But and then think about it, because there are people who will never understand that music or have no interest in it at all. And for us, it's everything. So that's the value of something is always relative.
Right, but there's like I said, I mean, it's like with classical music. I mean, sometimes people don't understand it. It's like the avant-garde, it becomes somebody else's music that they study later on. I mean, it's always been that way. Like, like when Brahms was the head of the whole romantic period, and then, this other thing is pushing forward. And who wins is not Brahms, because the music is always moving forward. I mean, I play nothing. I mean, all kinds of classical music that sounds like avant-garde jazz, and the avant-garde. I mean, the classical people have been just checking out so much avant-garde jazz. Half of the time I just play the concert. I'm like, this is some avant-garde jazz that they've been checking out for a long time. So, but I mean, there's all kinds of spaces. It's just what I'm finding out with just teaching children is that they're losing their ability to hear, like in these 3 or 4 dimensions that we can experience music. And so then that's another lost art. So we getting drilling down to lost arts in music, because they can't feel rhythm. And then if they can't feel rhythm, then they certainly can't feel that kind of, just rhythm that's so expansive. So we're losing hearing, and we're losing rhythm. And so now we I used to laugh all the time when they said that the Egyptians lost the ability to make glass. I'm like, how can you lose? that ability. You're making all these things. And now I understand, because another technology comes in and you ask somebody today how to add, like a checkout lady to add what you have on. If the computers go down, and it'll be a tragedy for everybody. But these are becoming lost arts, so
Sort of like handwriting.
yeah, handwriting is a lost art, but it's not really lost. It's just that, something else is, the new technology has come in, but the value of it is not lost. That's the point. The value of it is not lost. Right? That's why it becomes a lost art. It's still an art form.
What's that? What was that? I heard something in the background.
Yeah, he's got.
Almost sounds like a didgeridoo.
That's William, and then on the rims.
Oh, it was muted, but I couldn't tell. I thought it was that Australian
Oh, didgeridoo.
Didgeridoo, yeah.
horn, that didgeridoo. I thought that was. I was like, "What's up?" Because I think Dad do some recordings with
that didgeridoo. Oh yeah, with your boy. He loved that didgeridoo. And just being, it's like the same thing. Like I said, the didgeridoo, when you heard him, because I heard him a couple of times with that thing, it goes through you. That's why people like those native instruments. It went right through me. I was crying. It's like, when we did also Sprach Zarathustra. If you ever do it properly, but also Sprach, there's that low C that all you can hear is the vibrations of it, and you don't know what's really happening until you start hearing ba be da da. So it's a whole nother experience when you actually experience that music, that low C vibrating. And that was the effect of the that's the effect of the didgeridoo. You feel it before you hear it.
Is somebody asking a question? I can't hear. Can you hear me?
I hear you. Yeah.
Was someone asking a question?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I hear talking or
We
something.
hear music in the back. Yeah, it sounds, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that was That was out. That was a hallelujah. Dad. Wow.
Mother's child. Yeah.
Full trade.
Yeah.
That's better. I think that was his last time your dad was at the Vision Fest.
Yeah, it was. It was.
And I remember, I think that was after the last track, he was kind of exit staging his left, and the entire audience went to the stage.
Wow.
Everybody.
That's out.
A pretty big place.
Mhm. Yeah, he was hitting on some major themes. Like I said, he was leaving as he Joe Futterman told me last night, because like I no 2 nights ago, that my dad always told him, just let it all hang out, Joe. So they were letting it all hang out. I mean, they just went. I mean, you can tell my dad is mourning. You can tell. You can hear it in the sound. And then he keeps going back. He plays Motherless Child every once in a while. And he was playing Motherless right there, because that was one of his favorite hymns, you know. So, there's a lot going on in that recording, and just hearing it like, wow, he was really just ahead of it. Somebody asked if that was Last Train. No, that was from the Alvin Fielder tribute. The Last Train was the last time that he actually really, like I said, recorded, and he wanted to do it, and it was, it was all sketchy because he wasn't feeling well, but he said, "No, Rachel, I'm gonna give you the last record." I mean, there's a inside jokes all the time with everything with us, and so he said, "You're gonna get the last bit of, juice out of me, Rachel." And he said, "I said, you gonna do it?" I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna do it." So I've had the privilege of recording my my family. I'm crazy enough to be able to do it, on a teacher's salary. That just goes to show you what can be done. you know. So, but that was amazing. I mean, I wish I would have been there to hear that one. I've been at other ones though,
Mhm.
uh, where my dad put the holy, as he called it, the Holy Ghost on you. You know.
Any questions or comments?
Where's
Shall
Steph? Oh, okay.
Steph his mic's off.
Go ahead. You can ask some questions. You can ask some questions.
Okay.
Steph, your mic is off. You can ask us a question, Bill, if you want to.
Okay, I guess, chronologically, the idea of the Holy Ghost, there was after John Coltrane and Albert Eiler. Your father
Oh yeah.
came from that.
Oh yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. He ever told you that story about John Coltrane and what happened
Tell us
with
that.
him with
I've got
John
that, yeah.
Coltrane?
Mm-hmm. Please share.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, he was in a club, and it was after John Coltrane had decided that he didn't no longer wanted to play giant steps and no longer wanted to just play off of changes and everything, and he was moving, where he wound up in the end. And my dad was, in that vein. He got a bunch of crazy stories, like with Ornette Coleman and all of those people who were really, they were reaching for everything. But this one particular night, John Coltrane, it was him, Alice Coltrane, and and the band, and just him in the audience. And he walked in, and because he was on another gig, and he made sure that he went to the gig, and John Coltrane he said John Coltrane was playing like he was playing to 1,000 people in the room, and he was just blowing and blowing, and my dad was like, "Damn, what?" He said that night he knew finally what had happened in church with his grandmother at the Baptist church, because they were Catholic, and then on the other side of the family was Baptist. He said he really felt the Holy Ghost that moment, and after the gig, know. John Coltrane told him, he said, "If I never get anybody," he said, "but I know I got you tonight. I know I had tonight." And he said that, that forever changed his life. And that for sure reassured him that he was on his path. And I've been, like I said, I've been in things like where my brother Kent once played at a thing. He was playing piccolo, and he did some stuff on piccolo, and I really felt like I was levitating. I'm not gonna lie to you. And I said, "Oh man, what is happening to me?" And my dad did it to me one night, and we was at a club in New Orleans, and they recorded this thing in New Orleans, and I had my recording too. I have a piece of it, and he started doing some crazy stuff, and I was just like, "Oh man," I was getting irritated. You know how you get irritated. I was like, "Man, I'm so irritated," and all of a sudden I was like, "Oh man, I'm going some other way with the music." And so as a musician, when people can move you to those other parts of your mind, you're like, "Oh man, this is way too much." And I started crying, and then my dad came over to me. He said, "I got you." I said, "I know you got me. I know you got me. You nailed me." So as a musician, like I said, I was telling you before, I played also Sprockets Zarathustra and Aspen with the, Aspen Orchestra, and they played that low C underneath. I mean, I was in the audience actually. They were playing that low C underneath, and I was like, what is going on? And all you could hear is that vibration. So, like even then, they know what the vibrations of sound, vibrations do so many things. And that's what, like I said, when my dad understood about vibrations, just the importance of what they were doing in certain notes, like when you hit them a certain way at certain points, you can penetrate through a person's being. Because I mean, I'm always affected by music. Because I mean, I've been a musician, I guess, my whole life. So it's not unusual for me to be affected by sounds and everything. But when you start hearing those vibrations and start hearing just like these, I mean, like what they were doing, I call it the synergy of these wave patterns that they're dealing with, and they know what they're dealing with because they fooling with them, and I know I fool with them myself. When you vibrate or when you playing certain notes that are just right under the pitch or just right under the key, you can come up to that key and just drag somebody into your being. When I'm playing jazz, I mean that's the other crazy thing. Like now playing jazz, it's actually been helped me with my classical music, and I never really thought that it would be so beneficial to my classical music. But I told my good friend Amy, I said, you're gonna have to start learning how to play jazz, because when I'm playing Bach now, it's just on another level of understanding what Bach was dealing with. And I understand the music in a deeper way that I never thought I would ever understand it. It's way out, to actually know that even though I grew up around jazz and my dad used to make me learn changes and make me learn little things, but I went to school and studied classical music. I played in the orchestras. I still play in orchestras, River Oaks Chamber in Houston. And but my family was like, "Oh, Rich, you can do it." We went on tour, we been doing things, and then I just had to start dealing with it as a thing, which is so crazy. I've been having to deal with it for, over 10 years. Like, oh man, they keep dragging me into this thing. And now I'm into this thing, and I'm like, it's now that I understand a lot more, it's just informed the everything that I'm doing in a way that I never thought it would do. So it's all of those things. Like you said, it's like nothing is ever lost in your education, you know.
Thank you. That's great. Shall we listen to Acknowledgement with your father and Alvin, and also your ensemble?
Oh yeah, yeah, that was bad.
Mm, mm.
Oh, good God. Jesus. I haven't heard that in a long time.
When did you
Wow.
this is performed?
I'm sorry, say that again.
What year did you perform that?
I don't even know. When was that? I mean, it's on the website. I know she in there crying too.
I'm laughing.
It's on the website.
I'm laughing
Huh?
because he shut y'all down.
You think
He did.
about this? What you
And the bass player didn't know what to do. He just said, "Okay, let me lay out." It was just so beautiful. That was Al Fielder on drums, huh?
Yeah, he just took off like a rocket.
Mhm.
He hit that thing, bap, and then they
They
just
was
went for it.
rolling. They shut all y'all down.
But then you see when Daddy turned to me because he told us on the stage, when I turn to y'all just play anything.
Yeah,
And so
y'all
we
did.
did.
Y'all rolled for a while, but y'all couldn't hang. Y'all couldn't hang out.
Yeah, Mr. Fielder shut us down. He
He
was rolling.
shut down. The poor bass player, he just was standing there and just holding the bass. Oh wow. If that had been William Parker, it would have been all over.
Right. No, but I mean, it was just rolling. I mean, I was just saying,
It was a
as
wonderful performance, but I was
you laughing,
I'm
but
the dynamic of what actually happened. Because if I had been on the stage, I would be like holding the mic too, like, okay, I'm out of this. That's a, that's a whole nother level. See, I'm gonna say this, and how long does this interview go on? I don't know. How long,
do. I've
how
been
long are we
told.
on for?
So,
Or is it like the avant garde?
hmm? No,
yeah, it
How
is.
long are we
Just
interviewing?
let it all hang out.
I'm here till 10 o'clock, and often with these hot clubs, we
Oh,
recently, when Roy Haynes passed and Jack DeJohnette, and we were on for 5 or 6 hours. So,
okay. Well, I won't be on that long.
no, you don't have to leave whatever you want. Let's want to listen to some more of your music with your dad,
Uh,
or we can listen to Last Train.
Oh yeah, you can listen to that. Take through that cut. That my nephew, her son. My
hello,
what you said, Steph?
y'all can listen to it.
We play
But
we play Sisters Bickery.
well, no, yeah, I'm getting ready to go because I'm going to cook me some shrimp and okra and go
Okay.
and do something else. But I'm just gonna say I was glad to see that because I haven't seen that
Yeah.
video in a long time. Like I had to look back and I remembered that because I remember seeing Dad in that black on black that he had on. But anyway, that was beautiful because it just goes to show you, now it was wonderful the way, the introduction, the way y'all all came in, everybody was playing together. But when that ship took off, when when they got in that space, the way they play off of each other, your dad and feel that's just a whole nother experience. And I wish people could understand. You know who I think about when I listen to stuff like that? I also think about a player like Jimi Hendrix, and just out he was, and his approach to his instrument. And they were just they were just that dad was just in another space. It's just a beautiful, beautiful space. I wanted to also mention that a great bass player passed just a few weeks ago, Anthony Jackson.
Yeah. Hmm.
You know, Anthony Jackson was a heck of a musician. And I Googled just last night his discography and the number of records that he played on. You know, that 6-string bass is a sound that I love.
Mhm.
You know, my cousin Elton Heron, if you go back to uh, the first recordings of my dad,
No compromise.
you know, my cousin Elton played electric bass with my dad a lot before he and William got together. And the electric bass is another sound uh, in Dad's music that I absolutely love. And Shirley Horn used an electric bass player. But so when Anthony Jackson passed, just about 2 weeks ago, I thought, wow, what a loss, because he really was a beautiful player, you know. And you know, he did everything. You know, he played jazz, and of course, he did all of these great R&B recordings. You know, people know him. People don't really know who he is unless you're in music, but people know the bass intro on that OJ's tune, Money, Money, Money. And you know, that's a, you know, you know, that was Anthony Jackson. But, you know, my dad played a lot of sessions. You know, when you think about what really made Kid Jordan, you know, and all of the sounds that he had in him, you can't leave out the fact that he was a session musician, you know, in Motown and all of that. And then he also was a conductor, music, you know, conductor and a contractor here in New Orleans. So when all of the big time R&B shows came here, and blues shows and jazz shows, he played behind everybody from Saint Frank Sinatra to Ray Charles,
Aretha Franklin.
Days, the Four Tops, Aretha Franklin, Gladys Knight, um, you know, Lena Horne,
REM.
you know, REM. I mean, he
Oh
had
yeah.
that famous "That's Me in the Corner." That's me in the spotlight, losing my religion. You know, he was on that session with them, playing baritone. Of course, it's all mixed down in there. It's mixed in
Right.
on it. But you know, that kind of, you know, what I was hoping is that a group like a REM or a rock and roll group would really do something serious with it, with if they could actually stand on a stage and do something, do a collaboration with some real avant-garde playing, not nothing mixed down in the track,
Mhm.
but but you know, just really deal with it and just go face to face with it, you know. You know, that would be an interesting thing, you know. Of course, that train has moved on for dead, but maybe there's some younger avant-garde players that might be able to, in a very serious way, in a serious, I'm not talking about no playing around. I'm talking about seriously collaborate and do some serious rock and roll
Mhm.
with some avant-garde jazz
Frank,
musicians and see what that really sounds like.
Frank Zappa did that. You know,
Yeah,
he.
but he didn't do it with Kid
Yeah,
Jordan.
he
No,
did.
I know, but he did. I remember him. The best player in the concert I saw, one of his was Napoleon Murphy Brock.
He didn't do it with Kid Jordan. He didn't do it with Fred Anderson. You know, you know, like, you know, these cats are out there. Well, we're out there. You know, I'm not saying that music is gone because my dad is gone, but you know, the serious heads in that, like Fred Anderson. I mean, they're just gone, And that's not to say that jazz, because jazz will always be, when everything else fades, jazz is always there,
Hmm.
And I'm gonna say that, when I think about the singers who've gone, before me and who laid a foundation, and you really don't hear the true sound of jazz too much anymore today, but it's out there. It's still out there. People just have to want to find that music. I appreciate you for spotlighting my dad tonight. I mean, it's an incredible thing.
Thank you.
That there's some interest, and your audience has some interest in that music. But people need to really understand, how big music is, and how it can save you when you need it. I
Like
mean,
at a time like this where we
it
need
really
it.
save you. There's a lot of turmoil going on in the world right now. It's a lot of craziness in this country and around the world. I mean, the world is just
Scary.
like on fire, you know. Uh, but it's gonna be all right, because like my Uncle Alvin signature song, way down deep in the depths of sorrow, music.
Music thing.
So music comes, to help us, to get us through, hard times, and into the marvelous light again. So we just got to rely on that. And
Before
music has no boundaries. It has no color. It has no race. It has no isms with it. And I think if you really want to know, what was in the heart of my dad and in the heart of that music, is that we got to get beyond all of these fake um, uh, barriers that we put up between us. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's just too much. People are just people, and creative people, really have to understand that in order to create. Like, you can't call yourself a creative if you just dealing with all your barriers and all your boundaries and whatever. My dad was like, he was just out there. Just he wanted people to just let go and just get inside of the music and just play. He is at the point. I mean, my dad could read music. I don't know. Let me just say this. My dad and Alvin Baptiste are two of the greatest musicians I believe who ever lived on this planet. Like, hands down. In the history of music, I put my dad and Alvin Baptiste. Those are two people who knew more about music. They lived and breathed and studied music in a way that it's just incomprehensible. So I just want to say that if people could get to the place where they could just put all their isms to the side and just embrace one another in a musical embrace, this world, all the world's problems could be resolved. If they could be in that space
Hallelujah.
that my dad and Alvin Baptiste were. I mean, they were just in that space.
I was
Where,
telling a friend to tune in today, who's
hmm,
a jazz person, but anyway, I told him, tonight's part of my Mount Rushmore of jazz. Kid Jordan, John Coltrane, and Max Roach.
Oh wow, yeah. Match is bad too.
Yep.
oh Lord, Max Roach is something else.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, that's a whole nother level. You know, that's a whole nother level. I mean, it's just so much, and I appreciate you for trying to do what you're doing via this radio show to keep people in the know
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
of what has come. Because a lot of this stuff is just forgotten. Like, people just just forget things. I remember, Rachel. Do you remember
Mm.
when we went to I guess that was that in the south of France, and we went to this museum, and they had these footprints. It was like a John Coltrane,
Conducted Mott
huh?
in St. Paul de Vence,
Yeah, I
just
went to
just north of.
We went there.
We've been to like
Oh my God. How you
Hi.
doing?
like this.
Good.
Hi, I'm Bill's
Taylor-
wife.
How you doing? Good. Nice to meet you.
I am
What's up with me?
so enjoying the show.
Oh,
And
So you know
we
this museum?
sorry,
You know
Oh,
the museum that I'm talking about?
we
It's
went there.
Conducted Mott.
We've been there more than once.
Right.
oh,
And you walk in and you step on stuff and it's like John Coltrane music playing and what is that?
Uh,
What is that? Like I have been, let me tell you something. I have memory issues since Katrina.
oh my, I
No,
can
seriously,
imagine.
like Katrina was so catastrophic for me that I like part of my memory prior to Katrina, I've lost a lot of things. Like seriously.
Makes
And so,
sense.
but things come back to me. Like it was so that it's just, it's one thing that, like I never really understood PTSD until I had a psychologist to tell me, I said, I can't remember like major things that happened in my life, places that I went.
Mm.
And she said, that's because you're experiencing PTSD. You don't realize that Katrina just did something. It
Right.
changed you. It took your memory. So but it comes back. And so I don't know, where was I? I can remember being in some John Coltrane museum. Is that what it's called?
I think it's a different one, but I'll.
Must be a different one. In the south of France, I'll ask my friend who lives down there. I lived in Paris for a while when I was young. And my roommate from back when I was in my early 20s, very early 20s, like 19, 20, yeah, 21, I think. She's still there. She's
Oh, wow.
an American, an artist, and she has a house down in Nice. And so Bill and I have been down there to visit with her, and we went to that Fondation Markt, which is so incredible. So next time you go, you definitely should go there.
Yeah, I was just embarrassed. I was embarrassed last summer. It's a great trip. I mean, first time not playing, but
Oh, wow.
yeah, but she. I mean, like my sister's, hopping on, the whole thing with my dad and Uncle Alvin. Now that was like I was trying to tell Bill. That was something. When those two friends married two sisters in the same family of a musical family, that was like two powerhouses coming together. And like I told him on
Stars.
the phone, yeah, that my dad told me, he said he thought about Uncle Alvin every day of his life when he passed. I mean, because it was so sudden.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What happened with Uncle Alvin, and they said that the night before he died, he kept playing When the Saints Go Marching In. He played like 3 gigs, one in Baton Rouge, came back to New Orleans. He kept playing like When the Saints Go Marching In. So I don't know, he might have had a premonition or something, because he was a clairvoyant too, as well. They were dealing with, high vibrations and just knowing themselves. You know what I'm saying? And those two together, like I said, I mean, we spent many days with them practicing in the front. We go eat, they go back to practicing. We
Okay.
eat dinner, they still
think,
practice
Uncle Alvin had his phone in his hand at least
24/7.
20 hours of 24 hours.
Ain't lying.
Oh, my.
That is no lie.
It was something else. He really was a master musician.
If
And
he
so
wasn't right music, which I mean, I know
oh,
we put out that album, which we hoping that's going, I mean, it's getting a lot of play, but the CD that we just recently released with Marcus Ely, um, and I just laugh about it because I remember when he was writing, he kept asking me all kind of questions about what you think about this, and then he puts in the middle of one of the movements open strings EADG, and I just sit and laugh. I'm like, that's his inside joke to me, because I was like, don't write all those open strings And I said, don't write unisons. He got unisons everywhere. He said, oh, kid. Oh, this is how you say, oh, kid, what you think? I said, oh, well, don't write all those open strings. And whatever you do, don't put us in unisons and octaves like that. That's, He got a ton of whole section with the first and second violin in unison and octaves. I just sit there and laugh and go, I told him not to do it. He did it anyway.
It
Right?
was a way
So-
of saying he loved you. He was giving you this special little
Yeah.
message.
Yeah, Uncle Alvin was something else. He really he and Dad, their friendship is one that it was just a beautiful friendship. And the music, just to sit and listen to them discuss music was musical. Just to listen to them have conversations about music was a beautiful thing. So I miss it a lot. I miss it all. I could go on with you all forever, but I'm gonna say goodnight.
I know you're making me jealous. There's no shrimp or okra in my house.
No shrimp or okra. And I don't cook like that. I can cook French stuff, but I can't cook New Orleans, the okra properly.
Let's listen to, we were talking about Katrina in the tough times. Why don't we listen to Miss Abby Lincoln? Not Abby Lincoln.
Oh,
Stephanie Jordan singing.
Abby.
Was I singing?
I love Abby.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Record that. Hello.
Rose and flows of angel hair, an ice cream castle in the air, and feather canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that way, but now they only block the sun. Well, they rain and they snow on everyone. So many things I would have done, but clouds got in my way. Well, I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's the cloud illusion that I recall. I really don't know cloud at all. Moons and Junes and Ferris wheel, the dizzy dancing away that you feel as every fairy tale comes true. I've looked at love that way, it's just another show. You know, you leave them laughing when you go. And if you care, no, don't let it show. Don't give yourself away. Well, I look at love from both sides now, from give and take, and still somehow it's love illusion that I recall. And I really don't know love. Really don't know love at all. Tears and fears and acting proud just to say I love you right out loud. Dreams and schemes and circus crowds. I've looked at life that way. But now, old friends, they say I'm acting strange. Well, they look at me and they say that I've changed. Well, something's lost, something's gained in living every day. I look at life from both sides now, from up and down. Still somehow it's life's illusion that I recall. I really don't know life. Really don't know life at all. Ooh. Really don't know life. Don't know life.
Somebody said there could be a better. I don't think so either. You saw that stuff?
The comment that
Hey,
there's
can you
no
hear me?
better version of that. We can hear you. Can
Oh yeah,
Stephanie
it's a great
can't hear.
version. There we go.
So incredible.
Oh,
So I'm just gonna say this quickly because it's absolutely not as important as what you guys are talking about. But I sing in with the Boston Symphony. I'm in a chorus, the Tanglewood Festival chorus.
oh yeah, BSO.
And we,
BSO. I
BSO.
was at Tanglewood
Yep.
as a
And
kid.
we also
Yeah.
we sing it during the season here at Symphony Hall. And I've so many of my friends in the chorus, you know, they're not full-time musicians. They do something else and then they come and sing. We've been singing together for a long, long time. They talk about all the jazz that they love and, you know, oh, they love this and they love that. I want to take some of the parts of this show in particular, maybe YouTube's or so, I don't know, somehow. I don't think I could make it'd be possible I could share the link, but I want to send YouTubes of that and some of the other amazing things that have been played during the show, and it's so incredible. But I've sung a lot of
Thank you.
really, and I met your father, and I've heard him play, and I've been listening, you know, certain somebody's been making sure that I'm aware of, though I'm more in the classical world, though I have sung some very, you know, contemporary and, you know, 12-tone Schoenberg when he decided to stop using regular harmonies, you know.
Harmonic
He
expression.
completely changed. He'd use the box rules, but he'd have a completely different, you know, set of notes in a row.
Rules, stone rules.
Yeah. And that stuff is incredible, but it doesn't make me feel like this. You know? I mean, there are an awful lot of things that make me very, very happy, but that was a beautiful song. Now I'm going to be quiet and continue to listen and say thank you for this amazing show.
Did you say you all performed that song?
Sorry?
Did you say that you performed that song with your group? Or did you say
No,
that?
no. I have many
Okay.
of my friends. No, we back up, we sing with the Pops too, the Boston Pops. And
Right,
so we back up people like, you know, James Taylor, and we've done that sort of that level of
okay.
accompanying. But I sing, we sing very big, you know, choral pieces or operas, you know, early Schoenberg. There's one called Girl Eater, which is unbelievably gorgeous. And I would be
I
in
love
that
the Girl
chorus.
Eater, the Royal War.
It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. Yeah, you know. And being in the
Yeah.
chorus, you know, I'm not playing, I'm not paying attention. Oh, every second, you know, I can sit back and just listen. And I love it. It makes me really happy.
And then I'm gonna go. You know, for me, like when I listen to that recording, there's still something in that song that I haven't quite accessed yet. And it may be because I just, you know, like for me, like I'm gonna analyze it a little bit. You know, the drummer was just a little bit too much on the cymbals and just not giving me what I want. So there's a tension in that song that I'm looking for that needs to be expressed in a certain kind of way. I'm glad that y'all like that, but for me, that's not. To me, that is not the best recording that I believe I have of that song in my head. Like I'm still working on that song. That song is difficult because you have to maintain a certain kind of tension and release with it, and the musicians have to stay in that space. Joni Mitchell is tricky. Like she's just all of her songs are tricky. Her ballads in particular are tricky that way. Like she's special. That's a special song. And then it tells it's a story. So all those words, half the time I almost said, wait a minute, I think I was forgetting them at the beginning. I'm surprised I didn't forget the words.
May I just say one thing? I've been listening to Joni Mitchell for ever and ever. You know, I remember when I, you know, was a teenager and I was listening to it, and, you know, it probably just come out at that point. But the way that was you singing. That was you
Yeah,
singing.
it's different.
No, it touched me so much deeper than the way that
Okay.
I love Joni Mitchell, but the way that you were interpreting it was so much more powerful for me. So,
Yeah.
if you are going to explore it more, I want to hear it. That's all I can
Yeah,
say.
I'm still working on it. That's a tune that I'm actually still working on because
Well, I want to hear it.
I haven't found the perfect. It's just some things that I got to continue to work out in that. So it's
Well,
interesting that people like that, but I have some other ideas in my head with that song
I
that I've
can't
got
wait
to.
to hear it. Please, please, please. I'm begging you. You really, you just crush it already. So
He
I'm
does.
I'm gonna start crying if you play, if you do anything else, I'll start crying. And I don't cry that often.
Continue to work out some things on that, but I'm gonna get there.
She crushes that song. She just, I don't know what's her problem, but she's a
No,
perfectionist.
it's
She
not where it
is.
needs to
She
be, but I'm
crushes
gonna
that
get it.
song.
It's,
I'm gonna.
I have no idea. I've never met anybody who's a complete perfectionist before.
No, no,
That would never be me.
it's it's not even that. It's not even that. It's not even. It's not. It's just there's some things with it that I've got to work out between me and the musicians that I'm. It's just some things that I want to hear, and it's a way that I'd like to have it played. That I'm still. It's just I've got to. It's just not there for me yet, but I'm gonna get there. I'm glad y'all
Please,
like it.
please, please, please. And I want to know. I want to hear it when you do it. I
I'm
really
glad
do.
y'all like it, but it's not complete for me yet. But we're gonna get there eventually. And that's a good thing because that gives me something to live for. It gives me
Oh, me
something to work
too.
toward.
Me too. I can't wait. I'm
It gives
really
me
looking
something
forward
to
to
work
it.
towards, and so that's a good thing for me.
Excellent.
So with that said, I love you and thank you for celebrating my dad. I hope I shed some light, and I'm going to bid you all a good night.
Thank you.
All right, Steph.
I'm looking at clouds
Bye.
from both sides now, right now. All right, take care.
Take care.
Bye
All
bye.
right, Steph.
Thank you for
I don't know.
everything. Thank you for loving the music, and I always thank any and everyone for the support because we need the support to do what we do. It's without an audience, you need an audience, and I love that. Thank you so very much, and good night. Love you all.
Good
Bye
night.
bye.
Bye.
All right, Steph. Yeah,
Bye
she's
bye.
crazy. She can deliver that song. And when I heard her sing that song after Katrina, I said, "This is your tune." I mean, but she's a balladeer. I keep telling her that she can deliver any ballad better than anybody. If you heard her sing, "You Don't Know What Love Is," we did a live version of "You Don't Know What
Mm,
Love Is" recently, and it was a wipeout. I mean, she cleanses you with her ballads.
and
And I keep telling her she got to do a record like Billie Holiday, all ballads.
yes,
Just
absolutely.
just do.
How does she put out her music in CDs or does she stream or?
Yeah, CDs. She got a Lena Horne album that she has
Mm,
out with the big band and everybody. If you think you like that, have you heard her Lena Horne album where she sings "Yesterday When I Was Young"? If you hear "Yesterday When I Was Young" with the band, everybody loves that tune and she delivers it like nobody does. Um, is "Yesterday When I Was Young" is a wipeout. So and then they got a couple of ballads on that big band CD that she has. So if you go, I mean, you can go because I have a link to it from on my website and Music Alive website where you can download her albums and all the other albums. But she recorded on her own personal label. It's named after my mother, VG Records. So she did her own big band album where she did the tribute to Lena Horne because Lena Horne was one of her, one of the mentors when we were kids. My dad of course,
mm,
backed up the band with Lena Horne, and we got to see her
wow,
every night with our one woman show,
wow.
and she was so cool. And we would see her after we would go to the shows all the time, and we would see her, and she was just the most personable, loveliest person I ever met. You know what I'm saying? And so she,
Hmm.
Stephanie, from that moment on, I think that's when Stephanie was really like, we were kids, turned on to it. I mean, my dad did the whiz and we did a big after party at our house too.
Wow.
So, we were always with all the people coming out of New York and, all of these people, like I said, David Murray slept on our sofa because my dad had him, come. I mean, I'm not, Ornette Coleman, when he saw me, said, "You that little girl played the violin." I'm like, okay, and now I'm a grown person. I'm going, but you're on that Goldberg, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's this mix of all these musicians and different things that my dad did, and so but she's a balladeer and she can deliver a ballad, and of course we change the chords a little bit around. Like even we got this thing we got called Down Here on the Ground, and we just did it at the elementary school that I formed an orchestra, and I had the little kids playing Equinox, but in D, not in the original key. And the kids were so excited because we had the rhythm section behind them, and that's all they're talking about now is Equinox and John Coltrane and blah blah blah, right?
Great.
And so we did this Down Here on the Ground, and everybody's talking about when y'all going what is this tune? But I said, you're not gonna hear it exactly like this because we changed it around. We have the strings, and it's just we reconceive things with Music Alive. I think we have a clip of it, the latest ad that we have, because we're gonna be in Texas on December 6th with
Oh,
with the full show with Eddie Bayard and um Andre, the trombone player, used to play with Winton. He's gonna be on the show. So we bringing the whole kit and caboodle with my brother Marlon. He was trying to get on because I gave him the link and
I'm
he
here.
could. I tried to tell Marlon, you there?
I'm yeah, I'm here. I'm listening to everything you're saying.
Well, how come you haven't chimed in about that?
I was waiting for y'all to stop talking.
You get on my nerves, Marlon. Well, I thought I didn't know where you were. So Bill didn't tell me you were in. Oh my God. Well, you can talk about Dad. You talk about Dad. You and Dad had one of the craziest, closest relationships in the world. Because I know Dad was like your best friend for sure. You
Well, I
talk
mean,
about Dad, Marlon.
there's a lot to be said, but y'all said a lot about him. I mean, he was just my best friend, and he was, a man who would always encourage you to just keep practicing and keep going after your goals. And he was just a musical force that was, you couldn't reckon with. You always believed in his music. Even when one person would be in the audience, he would always say, "That doesn't matter to me. I'm still gonna play my horn and work out and still give a overtime show." He was just that type of person. You know, uh, I get choked up thinking about it right now anyway, because I try not to think about him as much because I think about him every day. But he was just that kind of dude where you couldn't forget him. You know.
Mm,
And
yeah.
there's a lot of things I could say. I mean, that you guys already hit up on, and just having him as a dad was unique because he would always be watching you, even though he wasn't watching you. He was always listening to what you were doing, and I knew he was, even though we would be in the house practicing, and he would always be listening and just not being critical of you, never saying you make mistakes, but he was always just there and available to you for whatever you needed. Not just musically, but everything. He used to bring me to track lessons and all of the kind of things, and your track team and
Right,
different things. He was an all-around dad. He was just more than a
right. I
musician.
mean, right. I know because Dad brought us to the symphony. Remember that, Marlon? Dad brought us to the symphony every Wednesday night because we had the worst tickets in the city because we were like all the way up at the very top. But he brought us, me, Paul. Well, you were part of that too, weren't you, Marlon?
That was
With Dad
before
bringing us to the city. So
I
it was
was.
me, Paul, and Stephanie. He
I
didn't
was
drag you
always,
to the symphony every Wednesday?
I was always sitting in the pits with him at the Sanger with all the Broadway shows. I saw every show in the world.
Yeah, I
I
know
was
that's true too.
sitting in the pits with him and the trumpet players.
Oh yeah. So my experience with him was that he brought me, he brought me because I wanted to play orchestral music every Wednesday night. We had the worst seats in the house, and but 70 and Paul would be sleeping, but I was always up listening to the music because I knew that's what I wanted to do. So Dad, even though he was busy, and God knows he taught so many people, but he brought us. I mean, Mom was. He brought us to all of the things that we wanted to do, lessons and concerts, and then he brought you with him to all the Broadway shows and to all the gigs. So I mean, that's why I'm always like when people say he was my dad, I'm like, how he had all this time with all these seven children he had to do all of those things. I just don't know how he did all of that because everybody thought that he was everywhere with them, but he was always with us, you know?
Yeah, I could remember my first gig. I was too young to get in his bar, and he had these. I think I was about 11 years old, and his dad
Oh
brings
my
me in there with
God.
my mom at Prout's Club
He brought
Alhambra. I'll
you,
never forget Prout's
what was it
Club
called?
Alhambra. Prout's Club
Oh Lord.
Alhambra in New Orleans, and there's people drinking and smoking. Yeah, I come with a horn, and I'm on stage. I never forget that. Everybody was laughing.
Oh, what did you play? What did you play
A blues.
with Dad?
No, by myself with the band.
Oh my God.
I
Wow.
was I was sitting in.
Oh wow. That's great. It's like one of those New Orleans stories,
Yeah.
wow, yeah, I know. Dad was something, and he was interested in so many things. That's the other thing too. Like all the reading that he used to do. I remember him sitting there reading, and Mom would like talk, "Well, kid, what you doing now?" So I'm reading. So there's a lot of stuff with all of that. But what do you think is probably for you the one of your best experiences with Dad on stage? Marlon.
Uh, just the first time he threw me out there when he was at Southern, when he was when he was at the band practices at Southern, when he threw me on stage
Mhm.
and to play when I was just barely starting and just learning how to play the instrument. Well, I probably was about 9 years old. Just him, just
That
get
was
out and
your
play.
yeah. No, he always did that. He made me play too, and I was like, "Oh, come on, Dad, stop." And he's like, "Get out. You got to get out there and play. I don't care what you do." Like you said, he wasn't. He didn't think that you just had to get the experience of doing certain things, which is true. But I mean, but like I said, Mama and Daddy worked together though, always on trying to keep us grounded in music and just a whole bunch of just things. So,
Mm.
you know, I mean, it's weird to think about him in terms of like being gone, but I mean, but that music is out there. I mean, now I'm listening to it now. I'm like, I mean, it's out to me because I guess I haven't really listened to it in a long time. Have you listened to it in a long time?
No, I haven't.
It's hard, huh?
No, I haven't. It's been kind of hard. I'm still getting over the whole situation.
Yeah, no, but you got
So
to listen to it.
it'll
You
pass.
know, yeah, no, it's gonna take some time. Took me 2 years before I wanted to play, but I was still playing even though I didn't want to play. But hey, we musicians, so you play when you don't want to play. But it's you gotta, I mean, I think what we're doing now with playing some of his music helps to bring it, you know, to focus. You know what I mean? So, Bill, you have any questions you want to ask Marlon? I didn't know he was on.
My mic back on.
Hello.
Yeah.
Oh,
But you played a lot of saxophones before you went to trumpet, right? Am I correct?
Yeah,
Did that
yeah. I tried.
I know. I was thinking it's like if Willie Mays is your dad, you're going to find another job.
Yeah, I tried. I tried soprano and I tried alto and a sopranino. A sopranino also, but none of it stuck.
But you got a great sound on trumpet. Thank you so
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The trumpet was the one that stuck.
much. Mhm. You know, Rachel, you and I were talking about Binky because we haven't played any of your
yeah.
dad's last records.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, my brother Binky actually played saxophone. He was the one who played saxophone. And this like I was, because I told you he got a stroke, and so I was playing some of the stuff for him, and he was just like, wow, the stuff that Marlon is doing with Eddie Bayard is like, like I tell him, it's like John Coltrane and Miles Davis
Really?
when they get together, those two. Oh yeah, that's why I said it's show that we got. That's why I got to keep bringing Eddie Bayard, because they got synergy with him. They playing some of Marlon's tunes, and but the stuff that they do together, I mean, they played together before. Marlon, y'all played together with some other bands, and they played with Marlon's band. But now that they, a little bit older, it's like, there's a maturity and a different thing that they got going on. And then we got the strings behind them, which like expands the harmony, so on some of Marlon's tunes. So and then they just go for broke. We got a version of favorite things, and they went for broke on it at this last concert because we got the strings with it, and it's like the from the album that where Daddy and Marlon were playing. So it's Eddie and Marlon now, doing it, and they went for broke on it. So exactly what we wanted, So um, it's like I said, music is so expansive. It is so much.
Shall we listen to some of your music, Marlon? Anything you want me to play?
Yeah.
I've got your You Don't Know What
Uh,
record
your
here.
guess is as good as mine.
Well, let's play this
Uh,
because this has both Stephanie and your dad on it.
okay.
Um, Dad was on. What cut was Dad on? Dad was on. No, Dad was on Favorite Things with
Favorite
you.
things. Yeah.
Dad is on. Yeah, do Favorite Things. Do Favorite Things. Oh, Jordan.
Very good. Oh, that is gorgeous, Marlon.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, Marlon can play.
Yes, you can.
Marlon is so funny because Marlon was a little boy. I remember Marlon like winning a symphony concert. He was a little boy, and uh, his teacher didn't realize that he had just learned the whole. Because he played with the symphony, right? What was that first? Did you do Haydn concerto? I know you did all the concertos. Marlon did Haydn
Hummel,
concerto. The teacher didn't realize. Was it the first one that you did, Marlon, with the symphony?
Hummel, the
It was
Hummel.
Hummel. Yeah, put it up, put it up, put it up. Yeah. Teacher didn't realize that he hadn't really listened to the music, that he had just learned it by ear because he got such a good jazz ear. And I like the day before he getting ready to play, I looked at him, I was like, what? How you didn't know didn't have the music? That he just learned it by ear. That's my impression. I told Dad, I said, Dad, you need to get another teacher for more. Oh man,
Soul of
and
the
my dad looked at me. How old were you, Marlon? 12, 13?
13.
13, yeah. I know he was young. He was a kid. So he won the symphony. We all actually, Kent played with the symphony. Marlon, I played with the symphony. We won, like the concerto competition, and then I played with the symphony. I said we the Kenny Mason family before they had Kenny Mason, you know what I'm saying? So, uh, and then when Marlon played, you played at least 3 times with the symphony, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
Marlon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
and
So,
I get the
but I remember.
there's musicians coming in and out of your house all the time. I mean, your
Yeah.
cousins or aunts and uncles were musicians, friends, neighbors.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people that we know. New Orleans is a musical town. They got so many people, and then so many people taught each other. Like, we went to NOCA, so Ellis Marcellus, was at NOCA with Kent, and then like, Winton and all of them would go to Suno by my dad. And Branford and would, study with my dad. And then, but there are other families though. Like at Wardell was there. Marlon studied with Mr.
Mr.
Kerr,
Clyde.
trumpet player. And who else?
No, it's Mr. Kerr, I was going to say. And Mr. Johnny Fernandez.
Mr. Fernandez. Oh yeah.
And Jamel's daddy, Sharif.
Oh yeah, Mr. Sharif, Jamil. Yeah, Jamil. Sharif's dad is Mr. Sharif. Who could what do they call him? Big Emery?
Big Emery, yeah.
Is
Big
that
Emery.
yeah, Big Emery.
That interview you did. Well, we'll talk about Emery another time, but Francie has a question. Francie, unmute.
Yes, thank you so much, Bill. Oh, it's so nice to be here with everyone and experiencing this sisterly and brotherly love. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Now,
we pretty good.
with that said, of course, Jean Baptiste, JONBAPTISTE.
Right.
He loves to say that he's from.
We lost you, Francie.
Wait, say that again. We missed that. What did it say?
Francie, we don't hear you.
What did she say?
Wasn't your father related to the Baptiste family?
She asked about the relationship between you and the Baptistes. And yes, it's expansive, Francie.
Thank
you. Marlon, you want to answer? Oh no, you want me to answer?
I didn't hear the question.
I think she was like the relationship between John Baptiste and our family and Uncle Alvin. I mean, all the Baptistes are related. And Uncle Alvin actually, on that last album that he had John Baptiste playing jazz. I mean, he can really play some jazz. And I don't know if y'all saw my dad's funeral online, but John Baptiste played a Kid Jordan second line of all Kid Jordan second lines. He went way out with it. I mean, y'all experienced John Baptiste, but we know John Baptiste playing like a lot of jazz. But John Baptiste is related, like my Uncle Alvin is, one of the Baptistes, and they all, I mean, if you look at them, they all have like that Baptiste look. And so he's a part of Uncle Alvin's family, but John Baptiste studied under my dad at the Jazz and Heritage School where Marlon teaches, the Louis Armstrong Jazz Camp that has been going on for a long time. A lot of the musicians, like, Trombone Short and a bunch of people that you've seen, they all went through the Heritage School and studied with Uncle Alvin and with my dad at the Heritage School, Jazz and Heritage School in New Orleans.
Oh,
But
thank
a
you.
lot of
It's
influences. Yeah, a lot of influences. Like when you see John playing some of that avant-garde stuff when I saw the film, I was like, oh wow, he really did absorb a lot of my dad. But at the funeral, we haven't released that, but at the funeral, John Baptiste, he called and said he wanted to play at the funeral. So he just had his own thing where he just came and he played my dad's second line. Like I mean, it was beautiful. And we haven't released that part, but because like I tell everybody, everybody's like, y'all should have released that. I was like, yeah, but it was my dad's funeral. Y'all, you don't get it. For us, it was something different. We had to have a public-private event, but he played the hell out of it. I can tell you that if you didn't see it on live, but he played the hell out of it.
well, Rachel, what a great way to honor all the investment of energy and time and talent and hope that was imbued by your father into John Baptiste. What witness!
Oh yeah, yeah. They, like my dad was like my brother said. I mean, and a bunch of people say, your dad taught me this, your dad did this, or your dad taught some people how to read, like literally read. Um, you know, uh, uh, he was, I mean, like he was the head of the jazz camp, but he always took the beginners, you know,
Right.
because he liked seeing people progress. And now I get it because I'm doing the same thing. Instead I went from college to now trying to see if we can bring back strings and that's why I say music alive. Bring the music back alive where it needs to be. Because people, like when I saw those little kids playing Equinox when Marlon played, and I was trying to let them know it's gonna be different. When Marlon comes on, he's gonna be blowing. Y'all just have to keep this blues form together, right? And and then after the thing, the kids just they didn't want to stop playing Equinox. But it's the same thing, like, like with like person like John Baptiste, he grew up under that whole system where, you know, um, where you have the master teacher and they allow you to do things and you figure out yourself on stage. In a way that's, really nurturing. And I think when people talk about New Orleans, that's a big element of something that may be lost now because we got so many people that come into New Orleans, but New Orleans is a group of families that a lot of people play with each other. I mean, even like with Aaron Neville, my dad was with the Hawkettes where Aaron Neville was playing, and that was one of their first bands, and everybody did a lot of things with each other you know, in the early part, right before Katrina, there was still people dealing with each other and helping each other out, and um, with the way New Orleans was. So it's always so different. Like with Stanley said, post Katrina, it's different. It's a lot different, but there was a lot more camaraderie and a lot of things that were going on that are different now, you know.
And your father could play with anybody. Anybody.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to play
I mean, Marlon, Marlon can speak more because he was on more gigs with my dad because my dad obviously snuck him into everything.
Yeah, I mean, he played with just about everybody from Michael Jackson to I mean, I've been on gigs with him. He brought me on gigs. I played with Aretha Franklin with him. All different kinds of people. You name it. The list goes on and on. You know.
Yeah.
I'm going to play a piece now called "When You Listen to Kid Jordan." Do you know this, Rachel?
Which one?
It's called "When You Listen to Kid Jordan."
When You Listen to Kid Jordan.
Yeah.
That's the name of the tune?
It's the name of the
Okay.
tune. Let's take this out.
When you listen to Kid Jordan, you are listening to the squeak of a wheel, a hinge, the humming of AC. Ululation from the crowd returned to someone's laugh or sob or gasp, caught in his horn, twisted in the golden mirror. Mimic become explicant, revelator, capturing sounds, analyzing, exploring, then explodiating, musicalizing, melodifying, returning them to cosmic song and a diasporic stream, notes chosen so carefully they become spontaneous and combust in joyous fire.
Wow. Who did that?
It's
But
a
you got
That was him, all right.
jazz poetry ensemble with Hamiet Blewett. It's a live record. They did it, I think, in like the mid 2010s.
really? I haven't heard that. That was definitely him. That's Hammy Blewett?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh wow. Yeah. Like Marlon said, that was definitely him playing the blues. You know, he loved the blues, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was like such. My dad had like encyclopedic knowledge of all the blues people. Like he could hear the record and he could tell you Texas blues, blah blah blah. This is blah blah blah, and this is from Louisiana. He did this with blah blah blah. It's like wow, how much blues do you know? He really knew the blues, you know. So
Here's another family jam. Mm, mm.
I haven't seen that. That's something.
That is amazing. Amazing. Well,
What's more amazing about that, which you don't know, is the inside story. It's like at the very beginning, I hit my dad by accident on his saxophone, and he said, almost knocked his teeth out. He said, "Oh Jesus, Rachel, I couldn't play for a second." So we were laughing on stage about it. That's what he was telling me on stage. He said, "Girl, you almost knocked my teeth out." That's why I was laughing. Then the inside joke was because everybody's like, "Rachel, I didn't know you could play jazz," and I said, "I just learned to play today." And my dad and I would just laugh about that all the time. Because every time when you started playing the jazz, today was my first day. Somebody said, "Wow, Rachel, I didn't know you could play jazz." So that was our inside joke, me and him. But I did hit his teeth, and he was like, "Girl, I couldn't play for a second." So we were laughing on stage about that.
Mm.
But that's his tune, River Niger. We play that all the time too. We like to play River Niger, and we do his tunes when we go out to because that's his one of his tunes that he taught the kids at Heritage School, and and he would like all let them just go for broke on improvisation. So that's the famous River Niger that everybody he would just point the microphone at and play. So that's the tune.
I have questions about his song,
And then-
Get Back Blues. Again, a lot of
Which one?
I'll play it next. He calls it on this record Get Back Blues, but it's a riff he plays every concert,
Yeah.
Let me play this. Okay.
Oh, you were breaking up a little bit. Say it again. Say what's your question?
Oh no, he on this one record, it's back to that jazz poetry record, and it's called Get Back Blues.
Mm-hmm.
And if I could sing,
He was.
I could, and I'm not going to sing. Here it is.
Thank you.
Whew. In or out, Marlon Jordan. Outstanding.
No, right. My baby brother was killing, huh?
You were killing.
He was killing my baby brother. Yeah. So I'm gonna have to bid you guys a good night too, because I gotta get up early in the morning. But that was fitting. Marlon, I love that tune, that cut in and out. So I told him we gotta review that one.
Oh, good.
You can hear elements, you can hear elements of my dad. He goes in and out, doesn't he? You can hear elements of my dad in there. Yeah. So that's why I said, the apple don't fall far from the tree. So
Well, Rachel, thank you so much for
thank you for having me. I don't Marlon, Marlon, you still on?
Yeah, I'm about to go too.
Okay.
yes, I'm
Yeah.
gonna get up early.
So thanks for yeah, we all getting up early these days. So thanks for having us and celebrate my dad. And, I mean, maybe to give you a little bit more insight onto the family and just all the stuff. I mean, we got so much Marlon can talk about. I mean, like I said, him and my daddy were tight as beeswax. So, you know.
Well, you're
So.
going to hear from me soon, so don't worry, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to send you. Yeah, I'm gonna have to send you. I got a Kid Jordan shirt. I'm gonna send you. Bill, you got one of those shirts from the Last Train album?
I don't have that shirt. I almost ordered one.
Okay, I'm gonna give you. I see you with one, but I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you one of the few remaining shirts that I got.
Do you
So
have
I'm gonna
this
give.
shirt?
I'm gonna send you.
I think I gave your dad
I,
about
I don't.
these shirts.
I don't have that shirt, but I'm gonna send you the Last Train album shirt. I saw that and I said, you know what? I gotta send you the Last Train album. You got one of the signed copies, huh? Of Last Train
I have it on MP3. I don't have a signed
and in
copy.
between, but you have the CD because I only have so many. I didn't do that many. I'm gonna have to send you one of those
Oh,
because
thank
you are real. I'm gonna have to
Me
send
too.
you one.
you. Okay.
I'm gonna send you one, and I'm gonna see if I got one. I think I have one that might be signed.
Oh, great.
So yeah, I'm gonna have to find it for you because there's only a few left. So I'm holding them back. But I'm gonna have to send you one. See if I can find one of the last signed copies
Okay.
of Last Train because I didn't. It was limited. So yeah. So, but I'm glad that you wanted to talk. I mean, I'm listening to my dad. I'm like, I guess my dad really could play, huh?
No
You
one,
should come
but
back. Can I just say,
Um,
please, can you guys do another one of these shows? This is so fantastic. I really think you just
so,
explore it just a little bit more. You just sort of scratch the surface.
yeah, I
That's
mean,
my
and then
opinion.
Marlon, like I said, Marlon got a whole catalog. Marlon can talk. I mean, all his music. I mean, 70
Yeah.
got a lot of music too. I mean, it's crazy. But we like I said, my dad has a huge catalog of music. I have some music that a lot of people have not heard because he gave them to me to guard over them. So
So maybe he
that's
needs
another
to do a
whole nother
show.
thing.
He needs to do a show with you.
no.
And he needs to do a show with your brother. And needs to do a show with
Mhm.
your sister. And just, and then sprinkle in a little bit of your dad in the middle. But
Yeah, yeah.
I think that would be a
Y'all can catch
great
us, like I
idea.
said, y'all can catch us in Houston. We're gonna try to get to Boston. That's why I say we got to get to
Come to
Boston.
Boston.
I got a lot of friends.
Actually,
I got a lot of friends in Boston. I went to Tanglewood,
Oh,
and I used to
yes.
teach at at a summer camp music order during the summer. So I've been up there many times. My good
Great.
friend Deborah Boykin is from Boston. And she's like, when are y'all coming? Molly used to play at what's that place called? Scullers up there in Boston.
Scullers.
we can talk
Yes.
to Scullers.
Yes, yeah,
Let's set up a gig, Bill.
yeah,
Bill.
yeah. He used to
You
play
got a
up there at
job now,
Scullers.
Bill.
So,
You have a
yeah,
job.
yeah. So we got to come up there and do
And we'll get
something. So
shirts. More shirts.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you don't have, because maybe your mom has it, but Patricia Parker has a lot of these shirts too.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Unless she's given
yeah.
them
Because
all
that
on
was a
her
nice
phone.
one. Yeah, yeah. That's a nice one though. So, but we thank y'all for loving our dad like we do. So,
Thank you so much.
you know,
Mm.
all right.
What a great night.
So
Thank
I'll be in touch with y'all again. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm going to close with and actually I invited Eddie Bayard up. So here's a piece of his. I don't know.
Okay.
I won't keep you, but here it is. We'll go out with Freedom Song. Thank you.
Okay.
repression will not be televised. When they cordon off our neighborhood and send police door to door searching for the terrorists, there will be no reporters following them like puppy dogs. When they order you out on the street in your bathrobe without explaining why, and enter your house without a warrant, and search room to room with the barrel of an automatic weapon leading the way through each doorway, there will be no news cameras, no mini cams, no GoPros, no iPhones recording the intrusion. There will be no record made when they cuff you and hit you because you asked to see a warrant. Witnesses will be beaten as a matter of course. The repression will not be televised. When helicopters bristling with armaments thrum down our streets and alleys, News Chopper 4 will not accompany them. The repression will not be televised. Mobile phone service will be stationary. Facebook will go faceless. YouTube will be no tube. And the internet will become the disconnect. The repression will not be televised. Drums will be more secure than texting. Long distance runners, all the marathoners and half marathoners will be the safest way to communicate over long distances. If taken, they will need to bite off their tongues to save their families. Pirate radio will be triangulated at warp speed and smashed like rotten pumpkins on Halloween. The repression will not be televised. Manifestos will be written on paper and copied by hand. The person with a typewriter will be a hero, as will be the owner of a working mimeograph.